Hello, everybody. We're back again. My name is Chase, for those that don't remember.
I'm Parker.
Both studying neuroscience at BYU and hope we can teach you a little bit about the brain. Today, we're going to go over just a couple of things. We're going to go over the cerebellum, the temporal lobe, a little bit about the vestibular system, which is connected very much with the cerebellum. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then just another way to keep our brain happy and healthy. At the very end. So let's share our screen here so that we can get going. And let's present. Okay, again, our brain is amazing. I hope that you guys can learn that as we are going over this. Okay, so first we have the cerebellum. And let me turn on our other camera here so that we can. There we go. Show it. So this, I cut this out. So the cerebellum is on the back of the brain here, right? And this one I cut out from another one, and it sits right on the back, right above the brainstem. And on the screen, it's just right here. It sits right at the back of the brain, right there. It's called the little brain because it's kind of, it runs its own thing a little bit, and it just sits, you have the big brain up here, the cerebrum, and then the cerebellum sits underneath as the little brain. It helps us a lot. Let's go to this third point. It helps us with balance, posture, coordinated movements, all things like that. Helps you run, walk. And for that reason, we are most like this. We are most like other animals in this part of the brain, because all other animals are going to be walking, they're going to be running, and we have to have a way to help us with that. And so we have the cerebellum.
And just one fun fact before we talk about the temporal lobe, the vestibular system is that, this vestibular system is really connected with the cerebellum. And one cool thing about the cerebellum is that it has about the same number of neurons as the other two hemispheres of our brain have combined, which is really interesting. And it goes to show the importance of the cerebellum in our survival, which is why the brain puts so much energy into creating the neurons in that part of the brain. So the vestibular system is really cool. And we are all very grateful for it because it helps us to do so many things with balance, with detecting movement, with posture, and with really a sense of direction. It's what allows us to know we're upright versus upside down, whether our head is turning to the left or right, whether we're walking forward or backward. So it's really important. And it's really cool because it's such a small part physically of our body, but it plays such a massive role because there's these 5 organs. There's 3 little canals called semicircular canals, and then there's a utricle and a sacculus. And these 5 organs are all found inside of our ear. And they all send information. These red lines are just kind of basically the wires from those organs. It sends it to this part called the vestibular nuclei, which isn't super important, but basically all these 5 organs are sending information to the cerebellum because balance and direction and movement are so related to, when I say movement, I mean like forward, backward, left, right, up, down. Those things are so connected to our movements when we walk and run and play sports and stuff. So vestibular system is very important.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the temporal lobe. And just so you guys remember, the temporal lobe is a screen section. It sits right behind the ear right there, which makes sense because it helps us hear. It's directly right behind the ears because it helps us hear. I'm going to show it to you here a little bit. It is going to be this section just right here of the brain, okay? And so helps you, again, here. It also helps at the back here. There's a little area called the fusiform face area. and it helps with the occipital lobe. We haven't talked about that yet, but we'll get to it with vision, but it helps us recognize people's faces. There's some people that have had strokes that have knocked this area out that can't recognize people's faces, even their own spouses. They have their husband or wife, and they can only recognize them by the clothes they wear or the way they walk, because they just can't recognize a face. And then also another interesting little fact, there's an area nearby called Wernicke's area that helps you understand language. It helps us, and if you have a stroke or something, somehow that gets damaged, it makes it so that you just can't understand what people are saying. And most of the time, I just feel like that'd be very frustrating. So it's important to take care of the brain so that we can still understand what people are saying. All right.
Oh, you go for it.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit now about exercise. This is how we're going to keep our brain healthy. And it's very important that we do exercise in order to keep our brain happy and healthy. So there's just a couple of things. Number one, we're just going to go over these real quick. First of all, it controls weight, which is important in general because it helps with all these other things, right? One of the most interesting ones, I think, is right here: combats health conditions and diseases. There was a study that was published May of 2019 that was really interesting with mental health, with specifically depression. And they showed that exercise can actually physically change the brain in order to help with depression. It's not just making you feel good and all that, but it's actually physically changing the brain to help you with depression specifically, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough that it will apply to many mental illnesses. And then, of course, it can help with different things like stroke, high blood pressure, of course, anxiety. There's actually been studies that show it help with cancer and arthritis. It helps you with, for old people, if they're exercising, it helps so they don't fall as much because their balance is better.
Yeah, and then in addition, it helps improve our mood. I'm sure you all have felt really good after you played soccer with your friends, or if you've gone on a good run or been on a cool hike. It helps improve our mood. The reason is because, when we're doing things that we enjoy, obviously it makes us happy, but there's also physical chemicals in our brain that are stimulated when we exercise that leave us feeling happier and more relaxed and leave us having more energy to combat the rest of the day. And in addition, when you exercise regularly, you feel better about your body because you're able to do more, and you will feel better about your appearance, and that can boost your confidence, and it can improve your self-esteem as well. And then boosts energy. Just generally, exercise, it makes our heart rate go up, and it helps our cardiovascular, or the blood system, become more efficient in sending nutrients and oxygen to our body. So it helps us when we're not exercising too, by being a more efficient system.
Yeah, another thing it can do here is promote better sleep. As we are exercising regularly, it helps you fall asleep faster, helps you get better sleep in general by going into deeper sleep. The one caveat there is just don't exercise too close to when you're going to fall asleep, because the exercise gets you aroused because your body up and moving gives you energy, all that. So if you do it too close to when you're going to go to sleep, you might be too energized in order to fall asleep.
And then the last thing is that, it's just fun. Obviously, for some people it's more fun than others, but exercise can be really fun, and it can be a way to spend time with family and friends. And it's really healthy for you. And it's recommended that we get at least 150 minutes of exercise a week. And that puts us about 30 minutes a day, which isn't that much if you're doing that every day, but it's important and it helps us a lot. So we encourage you guys to get outside after watching this video and have some fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. We'll get the next one go on to talk a little bit more about the brain. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.